Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by Generals Joe's REBORN.com with me as your host, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostik80. For today's episode, I'm joined by the awesome Patrick Notpicard Stewart. In this regular video series, we round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. What is it, Pat?
It's the Full Force Weekly.
Yes, it is. What a week it has been, Pat, and what an evening it's been for you. How are you doing, my good man?
Yeah, well, it feels, I think it's been actually 2 weeks, right?
It has been 2 weeks since you were last on, but
yeah, and I apologize for the technical difficulties last time I was on.
Oh my god!
And for any that may occur today, since I totally tore my laptop apart last night, and as of maybe 5 hours ago, it was in pieces. But here we are using it. It's fine.
We'll see. It's like there's a fork in it, like getting the aerial to get the antenna going on.
Yeah, I just have to hold up the motherboard like this, and we'll be fine.
Out the window to keep it cool. Oh my goodness, yeah, that was not like when you messaged me this morning. It was really early this morning. It was like, I haven't slept and my computer doesn't work and I'm really scared. And I was like, oh no.
I was really stressed. Yeah, whenever because I got a lot on here. The laptop was cooking so bad I didn't have time to back up anything.
You're making your breakfast on it, weren't you? Basically.
Oh yeah. It was hot. Yeah.
Anyway, good welcome to the Full Force Weekly. It has been an astonishing week of news. We've got so many slides. It's going to take us ages. Hello to everyone in the comments. Hello, Mom. Mom's in the house. Hi, Mom. We'll be giving you and the fam a shout out later, so chill out. Just kidding. Thanks for the hearts. Love you. And everyone else in the chat, thank you very much, guys. It's been a bit. Everyone in the chat's like, it's been a bit of a chill week, though. Not much to talk about. There's a lot to talk about. So let's get stuck right into it, shall we, Pat? Funnily enough, we're actually starting with Super 7 first, though. But there's a lot of classified stuff this week. But again, we'll get to that. So Super 7 first, Pat. Should we go with that first?
Well, it's already listed first, so we kind of need to.
It's kind of has to happen. So here we go. With the first wave of Super 7 G.I. Joe Ultimates shipping out last week courtesy of a number of online retailers, we got our first in-hand looks at the figures. Thanks to SoCal Rider 99, Destromio 1, Joshua Eads and Steel Brigader for the images in this particular video, we got to see Duke, Cobra Commander, the Battle Android Trooper and Snake Eyes and Timber in hand, and they look great. Overall, it's been a positive reaction, no pun intended, so far, and I'm looking forward to having some in hand myself to see how they feel. Now that the figures are getting out to customers, I fully expect to see a teaser or even full reveal of Ultimates Wave 4 in the next few weeks, considering the fact that Brian Flynn said as much in our last interview. We will be chatting again with Brian very soon about the reaction to Wave 1 and the Wave 4 reveal, once it has been shown off, of course. Yeah, so we are lining up a new interview with the great Brian Flynn, which is pretty awesome. So obviously that will be happening a follow-up. We don't have a date yet, by the way, so don't think that I know when this is coming. I'm just as in the dark as everyone else with the Wave 4 reveal. But we do know that he did mention on the last time interview we had that we would be getting that teaser shortly after Wave 1 was in hand. And guess what? Wave 1 is in hand. Pat, what have your kind of initial thoughts been seeing the kind of response to people getting these figures?
Well, my major response is wondering if mine are going to just miraculously show up, because I thought that I ordered them from somewhere, but in all the pre-order chaos, I couldn't find the pre-order, so I think maybe I didn't, but I thought I did.
I tell you what, when you're in a scenario when it's like that, it was bad at one point.
It was, yeah. So they haven't shown up, so I'm thinking I'm not getting them, and my overall reaction is, man, I kind of like them. I think that I would have liked to have had these. So it's not like, the fear of missing out isn't so bad, because I think that I still can actually get them if I need to.
Yeah, I think they're showing up in a lot of different kind of independent stores have got them, and they seem to be all over like Entertainment Earth and BBTS and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you don't have them and you are getting FOMO from all of these amazing you know, images and stuff, then absolutely go nuts, because they have them all over the internet right now. I will say that I think I really love these, and I love how they've come out. Like, I know there was I mean, it was a huge delay, but
Yeah.
there were reason for it, and, you know, like getting the engineering right, getting the aesthetic right, getting all that kind of like the way they wanted it. I think is probably best in the long run that they did that, because now we're getting really quality figures, and I'm not hearing many complaints genuinely. Like, I'm not hearing much about breakages. I'm not hearing much about like difficulty with like any particular joints or looseness in any particular areas. I think it's one of those ones where it's just like it's doing exactly what it says on the tin.
Yeah, I've had the San Diego one, the San Diego Bat, for a long time now, and
Yeah,
it's really solid. So if these are like that, then they're good.
awesome. And of course, Snake Eyes and Timber as well. And I love that jetpack. Just I just love the aesthetic on these. They look so good. And Snake Eyes in this form, this is probably the best he's looked with this version of Snake Eyes, I think, so far.
Yeah, you know, it's weird how this is how many times we've gotten a cartoon Snake Eyes. I guess there was that one that came with the was it a Rhino video a long time
Yeah.
ago?
Oh
The
God,
O-ring one,
yeah.
but it didn't have the hands painted.
No, I have that. I bought that in New York. It's the one with the like the sleeve slip cover with the window on it, isn't it?
Yeah, and I remember those were hitting heavily from China for a long time, and I bought one and it was bagged, and I opened it, you know, just because they were so plentiful at the
Yeah.
time. I
Yeah.
opened it, and then of course, then we found out that it was coming, you know, with the DVD, and so I just left mine and my DVD on the shelf. There's the figure's still in there.
Yeah, I think mine is too. I never got mine out. I really liked that though, and I remember knowing about it, going to New York with friends, and we were in a random like I don't even know what the store was, but it was in the middle. It was like way out in like I want to say it was in like Brooklyn, or we were in one of the boroughs, and like again like way out, nowhere near any of the kind of like touristy areas. And it'd been this big store, and I'm like going through these like it was almost like a DVD, almost like in a record style. So like
Okay,
set out in genre, but like you kind of flick through them. And I saw
like an
this
FYE
one.
maybe.
Yeah, it was probably FYE or something along that. This was obviously it was years ago. It was when it came out, but like I remember lifting up and going, yes, this is coming home with me. I don't care if you know, I didn't have a region. I had a region-specific DVD player at the time, so it
Yeah.
was, I couldn't really play it when I got back. But I needed it so bad just to have that figure in it. And then that was obviously prior to the point where he had 6,000 versions. He was only at like what
Sure.
20 by then, or 15 or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, those are the days. Anyway, yeah,
But
and Tim, go for it.
I was just gonna say, but with this, now this is how many times we've gotten the cartoon one, because the other one was Super 7, right? Was the reaction line.
Yes, reaction line. Was the one in the 25th where they did like
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, there was well,
I'm trying to think
not
because
quite like
in
this.
versions now.
There's the one that had like the radioactive one, and there was a blue one, but
Yeah.
I don't recall the gloves being flesh tone other than on the radioactive one.
I mean, there's no real way to know, is there? There's never really any way to find this information out by looking at the
Right.
internet. Just having a quick scan of his billion versions. Yeah, the radioactive one was probably the closest, wasn't it, in that era?
Yeah, it had the weird hands because it had the one hand that was like
Yeah, holding the
holding the canister.
canister. Yeah, that was so weird. But yeah, like in any case, I think this is the best version of this figure that's so far, and he looks great, and Timber looks fantastic as well. Pat, could you do me a favor and tell me what's on the next slide, because I can't remember if that's the end of the Super 7 slides or not.
No, there's one more actually.
Boom. Oh, of course, yeah, the close-up to show the canister, and a nice close-up of Timber as well there. So Timber, it looks like has a few fewer articulation points, but I think that was kind of expected, wasn't it? Because the whole point of this line is more aesthetic than it is functionality.
Yeah, I would not be expecting the animal companions to have tons and tons of joints. Although it looks like there's a shoulder and an elbow.
Yeah, he's got a
and maybe
decent
a paw,
amount.
like a
So
wrist.
on the front leg looks about the same as the classified one, apart from it's like this. There's like a double joint on the classified one, right at the end.
Right.
There's like, not I say double joint, but there's one like there, and then there's one on the foot as well. But with Timber, it's just the foot moves there on that one, on that Timber, I should say, on Super 7. And the back leg loses, I think, 1 point of articulation. It's 2 on the classified one, but there's only like 1 on that knee joint, basically. But again, and obviously no mid torso cut either. So yeah, you're not gonna. It's like I said, it's more about aesthetic than functionality on this line, and I kind of get that. Okay, that's pretty much it for Super 7. Let's, before we move on though, Pat, and we're going to be doing an actual special on a monthly. The next monthly we're doing is actually going to be a Super 7 Ultimates special, where we kind of talk about what our favorite what our favorite kind of wave would look like from the Sunbow, but also from the Deep cartoon and from comics and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be kind of delving into that as like a personal thing in and around this kind of news. So we don't have to go into too much detail here, Pat, but are there any figures that you'd like to see in that kind of wave 4, or you expect to see in wave 4?
Nobody in particular. Probably Zartan might be high on my list. I really am not looking for the Ultimates collection to be all that broad. I'm hoping that they really just, do all the core characters that we talk about a bazillion times, and then expand out from there. But I'm not expecting it to be a 200 figure toy line.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with that. I think you're right. I think Zartan's a good shout. I think Major Blood's a good shout, and I think Firefly is a good shout. And obviously, any of the Dreadnoks are all options. I think on that from the Cobra side of things. In terms of Joe, I think Gung Ho is probably a good one. I think Bazooka's another good one. I think who else have we not had yet? We haven't had Dusty, have we either? There's a lot of like Shipwreck is another one. We haven't had those kind of classic Sunbow kind of characters, and I think maybe even Beachhead might be a good one to do based on his popularity in the cartoon. But
anybody that's heavily featured in Sunbow for sure is on the short list.
Big time. Okay, well that is Super 7 news this week. Next up, and this was typical, wasn't it? It was like, I mean, I'm sure they're releasing this information. Hiya Toys, this is, guys. I'm sure they're releasing this info because of the swell of G.I. Joe kind of like, information this week, thanks to the fan stream. So I get that, but I was kind of hoping they'd put it to next week. And here we go anyway. It's Hiya Toys news.
Because we didn't have enough to talk about this week, yet Hiya Toys have dropped images and info for their brand new upcoming G.I. Joe Exquisite Series 4-inch Cobra Commander figure. The product images were posted on Hiya's social platforms and show the Cobra leader in a number of poses with the array of weapons and accessories he comes with. He's certainly not as loaded up as the 2 previous reveals of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, but he comes with the expected gear, including his gold snake staff, hairdryer pistol, gold handle snake motif dagger, alternate hands, and a mini Dio figure stand that can connect to the other figure stands in the line. The design seems to have slightly veered away from classified somewhat, with an almost Resolute style helmet design and a fairly close aesthetic to his classic look everywhere else. He will retail at $19.99 USD and looks to be shipping in Q4 of this year. It will probably be a similar situation to Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow in terms of availability, only in the Asian market. However, I do expect to hear some news soon regarding distribution in the rest of the world. Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, still kind of a little kind of flaky on that in terms of where if we're going to get them mainly distributed elsewhere. But I kind of feel like Robot Kingdom, I think it is. I think they're a good one to try because I know a few people that have purchased Snake Eyes and Timber from them. But anyway, what do you think about Cobra Commander, Pat?
Well, it feels weird to say that this seems to be a new direction for this line whenever it's only the third figure, and none of them are in hand. Right? I'm not wrong on that. Nobody
No,
has
you're not.
Snake Eyes
That's
yet, right?
that's correct. Yeah, Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow have not been spotted anywhere yet. No.
Yeah. So I really would like to have the way that they're doing just, one figure at a time rather than entire waves of figures, which I'm not complaining about that. But the fact that they are doing that, I really would like to have somebody at least have that Snake Eyes in hand before they just keep on revealing more characters.
Right.
Yeah, and the fact that they've moved on, because that was the first thing that hit me, is that they've moved away from the classified series look. And to be honest, I kind of would have liked to have had it, because I love 4-inch figures, but this doesn't quite feel as good to me as the Cobra Commander, the ultimate one that we got in the later Retaliation
wave. Yeah.
And so if it was the classified series Cobra Commander, that would feel like it had a purpose at 4 inches. Instead, this just feels like it's here's a slightly different, but probably not quite as good Cobra Commander for $20.
Yeah. There's it's kind of it's got like a resolute head and a kind of almost classic body, hasn't it? It's an interesting combination there. I must admit, I think I do find him quite striking. Again, like I think I'd like you, I'd like to see the Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow in hand first before like making a full decision on this kind of line. But it is interesting, isn't it? I mean, I know a lot of people have been very excited when this popped up. We got a lot of positive comments on socials and stuff from on both Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube about this particular design and everything. Some people were, like what you were saying there a minute ago about they kind of wanted the classified style would have been kind of cool. And a few people were saying like they should change the helmet to make it more classic. Some people are it's a weird one, isn't it? Because I think I was expecting Hiya to go in a different direction completely. I was expecting them to go over here while everyone else was kind of like over here, and probably not touch anything that's already been out. Not really touch Resolute, not really touch Classified, not really touch Vintage, and kind of do their own little thing. So the fact that we're kind of getting a mishmash now, we've had Classified for the first two figures, and now this one is kind of a mixture between Resolute and Classic. Who knows what to expect going forward? Like, I imagine we'll see Duke, I imagine we'll see Destro, I imagine we'll see the Baroness, I imagine we'll see Scarlet at some point, sooner rather than later in the line.
They could really hit upon some great new design for a character, though. It's not a bad thing if they're actually trying something new rather than just doing classified series scaled down.
Well, I would hope they would do something, more, like they're kind of taking it in a different direction. This, I don't think this is taking it. I don't think this particular is taking it in a different direction. I think it's taking it in a, it's taking it in a similar direction, but from two perspectives. Same direction, but two different perspectives of a design.
I should have just grabbed the ultimate Retaliation Cobra Commander and thrown the Resolute helmet on it just to see what it looked like.
That's not a bad shout, actually. That's not a bad shout. And I agree with you on that one. I feel like we've already had good figures for Cobra Commander. So it's difficult, excuse me, because it's difficult to just bring something else out that's similar at 4-inch. That's why I think they should be going in a completely different direction with it. And who knows, they might do going forward. These might just be the kind of safe bets almost, But we'll see. But also it's only Asian market. So I do wonder about that. Last time I actually emailed Hiya a while back to ask them about this, and they said keep an eye on what was it, Bandai distribution or something along. I can't remember what they said.
Okay,
but they said keep an eye on Diamond. It might have been, and I was like, okay, cool. It was a bit vague, but at the same,
I think I do recall you saying something about Diamond in one of the last times that we were live.
I believe it was Diamond that they said keep an eye on. But nothing yet. So we'll find out. And maybe it's the fact that they're not going to be putting things out until they are finished and distributed in that way. So
Maybe they have to be distributed initially to then get that further distribution. We'll see how it goes. We'll see. And we'll obviously let you know. He doesn't come with as many accessories as Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes. However, he does come with what you'd kind of expect now. The only thing he's missing, I would say, that seems to be the hot item for all Cobra Commanders is the globe with the snake wrapped around it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've seen that more in the last few releases than I've ever known existed.
Yeah, Super 7 just kind of had that, and then
the retro for the HasLab.
Yeah, we're getting the retro one. Yeah, so yeah. That would have been a cool addition, especially having it at 4 inches. I'm not going to complain about having some 4-inch GI Joe though.
Yeah, you can't.
That's not what I'm complaining about.
Exactly. I know, and it's nice that there is an avenue at the moment for different scale collectors. Although at this early stage, it is going to be for a lot of people the core character hump, and that's how it is. That's how it is. Anyway, next up then, Pat. That's Hiya Toys. One more thing before I go. Dreamworld 4-inch figure in Hiya Toys scenario here. Who would you love to see them do?
I think that I probably just have to go back to looking at figures that probably were. I guess maybe I'm going to go with Duke. As crazy as it is, like I really don't think that I think that we are due for a
good
Duke that is really good, that looks like his original version, and it's kind of hard to even give you an answer whenever I don't have any of these in hand. I don't know how they actually scale with the existing 4-inch figures. If they scale pretty well, yeah, probably Duke, because that figure is very dated. And how do we not have an updated 4-inch Duke?
I would also say that with until it left my brain completely. I was going to say with Duke. Why can't I think of what I was going to say? It's not important. I'll think about it later and then be like, oh, and in the middle of a different segment. But I can't even remember what I was going to say about Duke there. But at least, that's it. We haven't seen any like human face feature head sculpts yet from the G.I. Joe Iron line.
That's a good point.
It's all been masked. Like Storm Shadow's obviously got the eyes showing, but we haven't seen like an actual face yet. So that might be an interesting one just to see them do Duke, just to see what they're like with those. Because again, we've seen other head sculpts they've done in the Judge Dredd line and the Aliens line, the Space Marines and all that kind of stuff. So they can do them, but it would be interesting to see how they would approach that.
I'm curious to see how they approach Destro and whether or not he ends up being the man with a metal head or the man in a metal mask. And I always prefer the man in a metal mask myself.
Yeah. You don't like nanomite technology?
Not really, no.
Amazing. Let me know in the comments who does like nanomite technology. And I mean from the Destro perspective, not in like real life. Right. Next up then, Pat, we have probably the biggest news of the week, and that was the G.I. Joe brand team fan stream. Are you ready for this? It's going to be a lot of images.
Sounds good.
Yes, this was the week that we saw all those awesome reveals and pre-orders on the G.I. Joe brand team live stream. Emily, Lenny and Tony hosted the event and got into the nitty-gritty almost immediately with name-only classified reveals for Quick Kick, Big Boa and Mutton Junkyard. Following that, we were treated to a series of brand new digital renders for classified Tunnel Rat, the new and more classic-looking Firefly, a very Pursuit of Cobra-inspired Lowlight, and a new take on the awesome Shadow Tracker. With the new reveals out of the way, it was time for pre-orders and physical figures, starting with the newest wave of 5 figures. Copperhead in his classic green deco, Bazooka in his original version 1 jersey, a quite sensational looking Torpedo with some of the greatest product images I've ever seen, an extremely solid looking Shipwreck and Polly including the Miley Cyrus Wrecking Ball homage image, and a very modern updated rock and roll complete with tattoos and that variant devil horned hand gesture. Genius. It didn't stop there though, no. Scrap Iron stole the show with his articulated drone and blast effects, and that head sculpt is wild. We had a better look at the female Cobra Valkyrie 2-pack with the officer and trooper, as well as that awesome team shot of them all in the snow. Speaking of snow, the event finished with Deluxe Snow Job and all of his awesome gear, including a backpack that holds it all as well. Some eagle-eyed fans also noticed a few teasers in the product shots, including the Python Patrol Crimson Guard in the background of one of Bazooka's shots, and the never-before-seen Arctic Bats giving Snow Job a hard time. It looks likely that both figures were strategic teases, and we will probably see both of them sooner rather than later. It wasn't mentioned in the stream, however it does look as though the Classified Series box art will be changed to show the figure render more prominently, with a consistent art theme in a smaller section on the front and on the side of the box. All in all, it was a hugely positive event and an incredible selection of new figures to get excited about. Are you excited about any of those, Pat?
I'm back to my normal self as far as pre-orders go. I did not pre-order anything.
Yeah, same.
I think that the one that I'm most inclined to pre-order is Snow Job.
Right.
Because it's a Pulse exclusive, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm not just going to be wandering into the store and buying that one. But
you're not going to the Pulse stores anymore that you
No, not doing that anymore.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean on that one. But do any let's go through everything bit by bit and let's see what you like and what you don't like.
There are a couple things I don't like this time around.
Oh, have you got your nitpick helmet on?
I do. Well, actually, no. I just kind of think that a couple of these are misses that aren't even nitpicking.
I don't know how we are friends. Anyway, next up, name only reveals for Quick Kick, Big Boa, and Mutton Junkyard. Do they excite you in any way, shape, or form?
Yes. Big Boa, I'm curious to see what all he comes with. And Mutton Junkyard, I just kind of feel like I've been waiting for that one since I opened up Timber, and because the original G.I. Joe dog that I had was Junkyard. So when you open up Timber, you're like, yeah, Junkyard's going to be coming.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that. And obviously, more animal companions, the better, 100%. I am very excited for Quick Kick, I've got to say, because I love that character. Hugely prominent in the International Heroes era of Action Force back in the UK, in the comics and all that stuff. He was my first International Heroes figure with Flint. I got Flint and Quick Kick on the same day. They were my first Hasbro G.I. Joe figures in Action Force form. So, yeah, I was very, very excited. And the thing I like about Big Boa that you mentioned there is what they're going to give him in terms of accessories, because you just know that punching bag is going to be in there. But maybe they'll do one that hangs from the ceiling. Maybe they'll do something like, could you imagine how cool that would be?
Well, sure. Do I have to hang it from my own ceiling?
Well, I'm thinking like a scaffold that you couldn't that it would come on. How cool would that, like with the tube?
that would be cool. That would be better than it just being on a stick, I think.
That'd be so amazing.
Yeah, and I think you probably will think of doing something like that.
I'm gonna
actually dangle maybe a G.I. Joe's face on there instead of just saying Joe.
Yeah, I think like that might be a pipe dream. But even that you get with the original vintage figure would be fun. So I think anything like that. I think probably like multiple different hand options. So he's got boxing gloves maybe that go over the hands, or they might just do boxing glove hands and then like MMA hands or something like that.
Yeah, I'm always with the fact that the wrists pop off, having the hands potentially get caught inside the glove. I think I'd rather just have a glove that replaces the hand.
Yeah, totally. Someone just mentioned there that Junkyard is on the Valkyries box. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second, Leon. That's something I did want to talk about, and also shout out to Plastic Battles, Paul Pamphilone, who put a really good like Twitter kind of thread together where he was isolating all of the different homages on all of the new box art, which was amazing. I don't have we might even do a video of that separately. I might do like a little deep dive of the packaging stuff with Paul. Probably I'll speak to him if he wants to join on that one. But yeah, anyway, very excited for those name drops. Very excited for those, definitely, because they're going to make them awesome. Like, I know people are like, some people don't like Big Boa as a character, and I'm like, why? Why would you not like Big Boa? He's amazing. In any case, and I know you like him because it's connected, isn't it, to your most your angriest, never unreleased kind of scenario.
Yeah,
scenario. Anyway, yeah. So that's that. Next up, then, digital renders. Now we do know for a fact that Tunnel Rat's going to be slightly smaller than the other figures. Did you know that, Pat?
No, I didn't. I wasn't aware of that, but good. I think that having a little bit of height difference between your characters is a good thing, and Tunnel Rat definitely should be a little shorter than the rest.
Definitely. I'm also really happy they've gone with the camo paint on the arms and the face as well, like keeping it real classic. And also the backpack with the flashlights that come out, just sensational. So happy that's happening as well. And the other thing I'll mention about him, have you noticed he's got his little blue communicator, classified communicator?
Yeah, he does.
Secondary.
It's nice. So they keep on popping those in sometimes and not every time. But
yeah, it's like some people can... Some are allowed to communicate, not everybody.
Right. They just don't want to hear from everybody.
Also, the night vision goggles are a good cool touch, aren't they?
Yeah, that's something I kind of want to mention that in my mind I really am thinking about a lot when I'm looking at this wave is what things are they introducing new to characters? What things are going to be kind of a permanent addition on down the road for that character, and what things may be just kind of like a one-off? I think is an interesting thing to think about. And I think night vision goggles for Tunnel Rat are something that look good and make sense. Definitely something that exists a lot more, more commonly in military equipment than they did back in 1987.
Yeah, definitely.
It makes sense. It feels like that's low light special thing from the 1991 figure. But no, it feels like that's something that can just almost permanently be a part of Tunnel Rat, I think.
Yeah, and also it makes sense for something that's going to be in tunnels most of the time.
Yeah,
and
more than flashlights. I mean, you wouldn't not bring the flashlights with you, but hopefully he would have the night vision to go through there.
And I also want to say that it's a little shout out to a comics appearance as well, where he had night vision goggles as well. One of his first appearances. I can't remember exactly.
Okay.
I'm sure Mark is in the chat at some point, Mark Seddon, and he'll let us know. But that Tunnel Rat, awesome, very cool. And also, did you notice that Lenny mentioned by name in a little anecdote he was talking about on the show, where he said that his brother had found his original Night Force Tunnel Rat in the basement of his folks' house or something, and he mentioned that by name. That made me think, "Ooh, I wonder if that might be because like we've had these things with Lenny in the past where you see the direct inspiration. Like we had an interview with him on like a round table, and he had Copperhead on his table. It was the Python Patrol one, and lo and behold, like a few weeks later, we had Copperhead. So I wonder if we might have a Night Force Tunnel Rat in the future here.
Yeah, that's a good question. I wonder if Lenny's brother's going to find his old ice cream soldier in the basement.
He's gonna find
whatever his brother finds in the basement. That's the toys that we're getting.
He's gonna find Armadillo. He's going to find Ice Cream Soldier, and he's going to find version 4 Cobra Commander, and it's going to be like the best worst wave ever.
Hey, I would love a version 4 Cobra Commander, especially if it looked like the Impel card.
All right, I'll give you that. I will give you that one. I want to see. I'm so surprised we haven't seen Battle Armor Cobra Commander yet. That seems to be like such a winner.
Yeah, it is. Cobra Commander lingered a little bit at retail, though, so maybe they were just giving him a little more time to clear through.
The thing is, though, when that happens, there's definitely a lack of awareness there that maybe they've just done too many of that particular figure because it's a core character and all that kind of stuff. And like everyone got one. It's not like people are like clamoring for more of them or multiples. He's not an army builder. And then you kind of think, Battle Armor Cobra Commander is such a different... he's effectively a different character if you read the comics to a degree. Not necessarily in the Deep cartoon, and not, I think he did wear it once as Cobra Commander in the comics. But like, that would be such a... I mean, the fact we've had like 37 Snake Eyes, I would just assume we get a battle armor Cobra Commander.
I think that it's inevitable. I just think that it's a matter of, how much time do you want to place between Cobra Commander releases is all.
That's the thing, though. Like if I would suggest you could have version 1 and version 4 Snake Eyes out at the same time. No problem.
You probably could. You're probably right.
When they're that different, I feel like it's you could just call him Fred.
I'm not going to complain, though, because the more space that they put between them, the less emphasis there is on the core characters.
That's true.
I'd rather be getting new stuff than to be getting Cobra Commanders overlapping. I do want that battle armor Cobra Commander to come out, but you know what I mean? I'd rather have something else right now.
I would also then say Firefly version, effectively classic version Firefly. What are your thoughts on this render, buddy?
I pretty much was setting myself up for this one whenever I was mentioning the permanent additions to characters.
Yeah.
The remote control vehicle, I think that we should just keep seeing that with Firefly. Yeah. When I saw that, I thought, oh yeah, Saboteur he has that. It just makes a lot of sense. I think also I want to mention that sometimes whenever you look at things and you call them an update, it's a little bit of a dangerous thing, because like the previous Firefly, we looked at that and maybe referred to it as an update. I think that's a weird word to necessarily use, because it implies that all of the details of the old one are outdated, and that the update is now taking that and it's fresh and it's new. I wouldn't
call this an update. I would call this classically inspired, and I would call
I would as well. But I'm just saying it in general terms. Update, the word update, sometimes I think we throw that around without really thinking about all of its implications. But that the inclusion of that remote control, explosives, that actually does feel like an update to me to Firefly.
Totally.
Like something that he would have had, but back in 1984, it didn't necessarily follow.
Yeah, Matt O'Brien says Chris is sneaking a Lightfoot into Lenny's basement. That if you didn't know G.I. Joe, that would be the weirdest sentence ever, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Take your G.I. Joe knowledge out of that sentence and just be like, what the hell are you talking about? But no, that's brilliant, Matt. And yeah, I will try and do that. That made me laugh. Just knowing exactly what you meant, but reading it in my head, I was like, yeah, that sounds hilariously rude. It's Firefly. You're talking about that remote control kind of little buggy thing. It reminds me, there was a Call of Duty special edition that came out with one, didn't it? And I remember the night vision goggles as well. I got the night vision goggles. I got the night vision goggles once for when they came with it was mental. It was a box set that was night vision goggles on a plastic head stand, like a plastic kind of like bust of a full-size head that you just put. So you put the night vision goggles on that, like on your dress, and they're always like on display or whatever. That was for a Call of Duty game. And then later on we had this this like little remote control vehicle kind of thing that was kind of in the game, and that's what it reminded me of. But again, night vision goggles as well with Firefly, but he's had those, hasn't he, in other versions?
I believe so. Yeah, he's definitely had goggles. I really enjoyed that first comic pack Firefly from the 25th line. It was amazing.
And also, just want to shout out TJ Singh. Thank you very much for the super chat there, bud. Hey, Chris and Patrick, or Partik. I quite like your name as Partik. That's even better. Namaste. 9 p.m. here. Looking forward to my 3 scrap irons. My biggest wish list is Armored Cobra Commander. Also, Firefly looks fire. I agree with all those points. I think scrap iron was a big hit. We'll see what Pat thinks in a second. But we've got a lot more to get through. But thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for the super chat. We really appreciate it. Also, a lot of people saying that Beachhead could be coming up again soon because of that rifle. A lot of you are saying that in the comments at the moment. Would you be up for another Beachhead that was, I say, more classically inspired? I really like that Beachhead.
Beachhead stands out for me as being one of my favorite figures still so far. I love that one.
Straight up.
I really like that one.
I really like it when they were doing that kind of in between kind of thing. Like you recognize the character, but there were serious upgrades in there. Upgrades, I said, by the way, not updates. Although updates could probably be utilized in that sense.
It's similar to upgrades. It's like a reinterpretation.
Yeah,
sometimes. The other Firefly certainly was a bit of a new interpretation of the character, and that's fine. I actually think that a lot of times when you have those reinterpretations, you trip over some things that maybe should be one of those permanent additions to the character.
Yeah, definitely. Next up, then we had Low Light, very Pursuit of Cobra inspired here, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a bit tighter on the jacket though.
And good point.
Details.
Yeah, good point.
That was one of the things about the Pursuit of Cobra one that I think could have been better. Is that some of the stuff was very bulky.
Do you know what? I've been kind of so focused on it being very Pursuit of Cobra inspired, but that is a really good point that Sorry, I've got to just plug in my there we go, my charger. That is a very good point though. The fact that they've definitely streamlined the actual build of the figure, and that is so necessary. So, like in a weird way, I'm very excited because of that they've kind of cleaned those up. In fact, we had this conversation, didn't we, Pat? Didn't we say that, and I'm sure you said this when we were talking about, before we saw the render, we know that Low Light was coming. We even said, or I said to you, like, the original Pursuit of Cobra version, it'd be very interesting to see if they do something like that. And you said, yeah, but only if they, make this thinner and slimmer and make him more.
Yeah, because he used the arms from Jungle Viper, I think, which had those attachment points, and then they, put some padding there to kind of make sense of it. Make it a little bit different and make it into Low Light. And it was a great figure. I love that one. It has so many wonderful details. But this time around, having it a little bit tighter, I think it's going to be a little bit easier to get him in that sniper pose.
Yeah, definitely. That was almost impossible. I remember seeing Justin's Generals Joe's review of the Pursuit of Cobra Low Light, and he tried to get it in a sniper pose, and he was just kind of like head down, arms wouldn't really go all the way right. It was painful. But I think that it's going to be interesting. If you can get the rock and roll figure, which we've seen, into a pose where he's looking through the gun on his belly, then I'm sure you'll be able to do the same with Low Light here. Not as many accessories as the Pursuit of Cobra, but the fact that he was a standard release did have me kind of thinking that was going to be the case. Are you kind of a little upset that he doesn't come with all those other little bits and pieces?
Not really. There's so many pieces with that. Like, I don't need a bullet with Low Light that gets lost. I seriously had one time where I dropped one of those and it fell like within the grain of my wood flooring in the house. It's like, really?
The only way you could get that is if you and Ant-Man went into the
right. He just pushed it out of there for me. I did manage to get it back out. I don't remember how, but it did come out. And
did you put your mouth around where it was and suck it back up?
And I would have swallowed it if I had done that. I never would have found it. It would have been like stuck between my teeth.
The odd thing is, it's definitely a lost item, and I lost mine that I took out off the card. I had a couple. One was on card, one was off. But the one I took off the card, I definitely lost it. But I have no idea why or how. Like I don't think I ever saw it. It was literally that. I was the stereotype of all of the pre-lost.
I think Philip told me he had the same thing happen to him, that he lost the bullet.
I want to just go out there and say I don't think it was even in the packaging in the beginning, because I think it was literally pre-lost at the factory. They lost it at the factory and couldn't get it in there.
Yeah, I feel bad. I never really thought about that. Like how bad that had to have been, being the person that had to put the bullets in. Like, are you kidding me?
Why would you punish me like this? They got the smallest person to do that, didn't they? The smallest child.
Just be tempted to just occasionally put like 10 of them in one of them and just
get them out the door. Whatever, get out of here. Amazing. Well, anyway, that's a Low Light, and again, very excited for Low Light. I think he looks fantastic as well.
He does. This is great.
This is the thing as well. I'm tempering my expectations with the renders, because some of the figures we've seen physically look astonishing compared to what their renders look like. So anyway, next up and last up in the render reveals, we got a very kind of like interesting newish take on Shadow Tracker. What do you think of this, Pat?
Am I going to be the weird guy that complains about Pursuit of Cobra today? Is that what I'm going to turn into?
Yeah, I mean, I just assume you're the weird guy that always complains.
I was so looking forward to the Shadow Tracker back whenever we first saw the character for the first time.
Yeah.
But then whenever I got it in hand and you start putting all the parts on it, the secondaries are so cumbersome that you can't do a whole lot with the figure.
Yeah.
You kind of pose the arms, but the hair covering the secondary vest, it just becomes a lot. And I thought at that moment that I enjoy the way the character looks. There definitely was Pursuit of Cobra was definitely doing a bit of a Predator reference at the time, and this was kind of their Predator. But I liked the idea, and I was hoping that eventually they would get around Shadow Tracker again. I was hoping for it in 4-inch, but I'm really eager to actually see how this one plays and how he's a little more flexible. I think that he'll be more posable again.
Yeah, you've got that kind of like, I guess it's like two secondaries, isn't it? Like the vest and the separate piece on the waist, which is kind of like a half skirt element, but they're supposed to be,
but on the original one, there was a lot more.
Yeah.
You know, and then you put the backpack on. It's like there were a lot of layers to the figure that kind of became too much.
This looks like it's going to have more flexibility, definitely. And also the hair is kind of tempered a little bit, where you've got one dread kind of draped down the front, and then I guess the rest tied up in like a kind of almost like a ponytail in the back, I'd imagine, because just based on the way the hair's shaped going towards the back. I think it looks really cool. I'm really excited to see this in physically, because again, like the render doesn't always do it justice. And I want to see him with all the gear on. I want to see him with the quiver on and the arrow in there and the bow. And I want to see those different heads utilized. I'm interested.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that green one, the one that was clear there on the left side of the image, because that one was pretty much originally it was just a Neo Viper mask. Like it was. I think that on the released version they changed like the mouth of it to kind of avoid it being straight up a Neo Viper. In that process of changing over some of the actor likenesses, I think that's whenever that happened, because the earliest test shots of that original Shadow Tracker I don't think have a different mouth than the Neo Viper. I think it was just straight up a Neo Viper mask.
Some people are asking if he contains Zartan parts, and he might do on the body and like limbs and legs and stuff.
Oh yeah, maybe so.
But that's going to be one of those things where we're not going to know until we see the figure properly, maybe, or get the other. I should have got the Zartan render up as well, because that would have been perfect side by side, wouldn't it?
Or some of these parts could even be a good start for a Ninja Force Zartan.
That compound bow for a start.
Yeah,
that bow is wicked looking. Love that.
I really like the way that looks, and that's not also either, is it?
Yeah, that is brand new, and it also has a what looks to be a removable, like little kind of scope on there as well, which is pretty cool. Or I don't know if it's the microphone that is used to find the heartbeats.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I love that they're giving us a new bow, though, rather than just saying, hey, just throw in the one that we have.
I think they're heads, Robert H., but that is a good question. Is it masks, and will we see his face? What do you think, Pat?
I think that's an excellent question.
That we do not have an answer to.
Yeah, he had the original toy kind of had a skull face underneath the Neo Viper mask that was clear. I don't know that they'll go that direction. I think that they're referencing the skull with the other mask, which is a good way to go, because I don't really believe there would just be a guy with a skull head running around.
Also, that's the last of the digital renders. We've probably got to move on a bit quicker. I can't believe we're nearly at an hour. What is going on? Okay, then, Pat, we had Copperhead. Now, before you get into this, I just want to say that this figure, like in physical format, looks sensational based on the render that we saw. But I have a feeling you might have a different opinion.
I like how you're like, hold up on complaining, Pat.
Yeah, let me get the positive in first, and then you can drop a negative.
This is one of the ones I like. I think this one's really cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks fantastic, I think.
He does. I
like
like the backpack quiver that they've given him. It doesn't change the profile from the front.
yeah.
And that, just kind of adds to the character without changing things really at all. I guess we shouldn't call it a quiver. It's probably, what is it, a sheath?
It's a sheath for, a
Yeah.
holster. It's a backpack holster.
Oh, that's right, because it is for his gun, isn't it? It's not for that
large
machete.
pistol. Yeah, I think he he was one when we saw the render. A lot of comments were going around of, well, he's not muscular enough, he's not bulky enough, he doesn't really like do it for me, he looks a bit skinny, yada yada yada. That, I think, is, when you look at this figure, all I see is bulk. He looks amazing. I think looks solid, really good representation of the figure, the character, and some of the product shots look great. Look fantastic.
I was actually wondering if this is the start of Big Boa, like if this is just the same body style that we're going to get with Big Boa.
Very good point there. I mean, it's got the vest, hasn't he? So they might have to do some sort of similar body size, but like,
that's true.
But they have got that. I mean, they've got it with Mindbender. They've got it with, is Zartan naked? If you take the chest piece off, I don't know.
Well,
anyway, this is the thing.
Well, Big Bo is probably more gung ho, isn't he?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I do like this one a lot. That's a good point, actually, Diana. Yeah, simple, clean design, well made for a great figure. I think that's what it is, isn't it? It's just they've stuck to the basics on it, haven't they? And they've just like nailed the fundamentals. And
and a lot of new parts on this too, aren't there?
Yeah, I believe so. Including that head, which actually looks really, really good.
It does.
Really,
and the pattern that they have in the legs, I really like.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a large part of the character for me.
Yeah, big time. Excuse me. Yes, Tristan Gung Ho is naked. Thank you. And Zartan is bare chested as well. Thank you very much for the. If I don't have them in front of me, I would never ever retain that information. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's Copperhead. Good start. We all know what Bazooka's about. But what do you think do you think that the new deco is a successful one, Pat?
I do. I was really surprised at the differences between the rockets.
Yeah, so was I. They went to that extra bit to put the teeth on one and to put yellow crash test dummy as as Lenny mentioned it. That was great.
Yeah, it just adds a little bit to his character. It's fine. It adds a little bit more flair to the shelf and to what he has going on, rather than just being precisely what would be expected. Now, I like the way that it looks like he can load that from the back. I don't actually have the other figure.
Yeah, you can, yeah. So basically the little thing at the back kind of spins round like so and creates a little hole to load it in.
Yeah, I had dropped Tiger Force in favor of hopefully just buying these.
Again, I don't know why we're friends.
Hey, money is tight right now. I have to do what I have to do.
I know the feeling. So yes, with this, what I was going to say about the teeth usage on that one is it would have made more sense to give it to the Tiger Force version based on what happened to the vehicles with the Tiger Force figures. However, you could just take that one and put it on the Tiger Force one. So it's all good.
Yeah, the fact that you can just kind of swap accessories between the two, makes it a little more interesting than just having similar things again.
Also, something that eagle-eyed fans spotted in the background of one of these shots on the right, as you see it, is the Pyth Patrol Crimson Guard. Now, we've seen the box, we've seen the figure renders of this figure already leaked a number of months ago now. But it's nice to see it kind of officially sneaking in there. Probably gives us a bit more of a sooner rather than later time frame to see that one from Target.
I'm still having trouble making out the profile of what I'm looking at that is Python Patrol Crimson Guard there.
Okay, so if you look at the tail of Bazooka's bazooka, and right underneath is the head of the Crimson Guard. It
looks gray, right?
It's a silver mask.
So silver mask.
Gray pants. That's the leg that's sticking out at the bottom. And the body, you can see the yellow and the red just underneath the head.
Okay, I'm just seeing. Okay, I don't really see yellow, but yeah, I guess that makes sense. Is the stock of his rifle red?
No, I believe that's a leaf that's in the way. The rifle is underneath that. Oh no, you're right. Yeah, you're right. The stock is red. Yes, 100%, and you can see it there.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see the handle of the rifle, the handle on the top of the rifle. Yeah, that's something I didn't notice. That's hilarious. Excuse me, I've got the sniffles at the moment, guys. So if you get a virus from me over the computer, there's nothing I can do about it. Sorry. S. Meyer says Pat needs a bigger screen.
Well, yeah. I just added one where I was tearing this thing apart last night.
Zartan, thank you very much for the super chat, Zartan. Really appreciate it. It says, please don't bring up Ninja Force, Zartan. It's like looking at your dorky, embarrassing grade school photos. It was the 90s. Everyone was a ninja. That's hilarious. Thank you very much, Zartan. But also, we're always going to bring up Ninja Force Zartan because he rocks in general. So thank you, Zartan.
I love Ninja Force art. I like all the Ninja Force stuff.
And thank you for your super chat. That is very much appreciated. But also, you've just made me laugh very much. Believe me, Pat, it is the Crimson.
Okay, I'll take your word for it because I'm still having trouble making it out. It looks like the collar looks like it's red to me for some reason rather than yellow.
I believe there's red in there. Yeah, I'm sure. I think there's red in the Python Crimson Guard at that somewhere around there. Like,
it does have the shoulder, the things on his shoulders that are red, right?
Yeah, it's probably that.
It could be what I'm looking at.
Anyway, that's that, and then we obviously got some more product shots of Bazooka, and here he is physically. Again, we know what he looks like. Now, this for me was the winner. This for me was the absolute winner. Now, I know you were excited for Torpedo as he's like a character you've kind of liked and admired and wanted in O-ring form as well. Like in recently we talked about it. But for me, this Torpedo is just sensational. He looks great all geared up. The options, I mean, the fact that he comes with so much gear as a standard release as well, and the product photography, sensational. We've got these underwater shots, which are great. I love that one on the left where his like harpoon is almost like floating, but like tethered to him.
Yeah, that was a creative thing to do. I think I like the lighting though on the picture on the right.
Oh yes, yeah, definitely. Really, really beautiful stuff, isn't it? And then obviously the physical figure. What are your thoughts on Torpedo?
No complaints at all. I think that he looks great. I feel like nervous for the ones that I'm going to make fun of because I've just got like that I don't think are winners have not come up yet.
I've got a friend checklist and I'm just going through.
Like there are key ones that I might step on, and you're like, okay, we can't be friends anymore.
Yeah, I can't. By the way, Neil Hill, I can't comment on that comment. It's hilarious, and that is the name he is shouted a few times in the episode that he appears in the first miniseries, but I can't put it on screen. I will say it. No, I won't. Anyway, Torpedo. There you go. Brilliant. And again, I knew this was going to be awesome, but having seen it in physical like this, this is my most anticipated figure now. Isn't that weird? Some of them like just jump to me. Some of them just jump out and punch me in the face, and I'm like, yes, I love you. Anyway,
yeah, I like that one a lot.
Then we got Shipwreck, and I think Shipwreck turned out really well as well, personally. Again, love the hairpiece version for him as well. And the jeans turn out really well with that kind of like worn thigh deco on there that we talked about when we saw the render. Go on.
Not overdone. Yeah.
Yes, let us have it though, Pat. What are your thoughts on Shipwreck and Polly?
I'm not crazy about the Polly with a peg leg. I have to admit that I don't like that. It does seem like it's just there because they need to figure out a way to peg Polly onto Shipwreck.
They even said that, didn't they? Like, yeah. Totally.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't care for that. So it's not really that obvious to look at it though. So it's not a deal breaker. It just isn't something that I hope to see again with the character.
Yeah, like and it was either, I guess, doing something like Freedom's Not Near Me, but doing something like Freedom, but making Polly slightly bigger, I would have suggested, or maybe just because
but with Freedom, they the weird pegs were on there as well. I would like to see some other way. like the feet of freedom actually have like the feet and then a peg.
Yeah, it actually thinking about it,
inside the talons.
do you think just using the claws as they are as pegs would make sense?
Yes. Obviously the vintage figures had that huge like
it was
claw
like
that was just way too big to clamp around. But you know, the 25th poly worked just fine and just used the feet.
Yeah.
Especially like the one that came with that later 5-pack.
Yeah,
that
totally.
poly is excellent with the wings out and the feet just clip just barely onto that backpack. Like the Rise of Cobra one actually had it too.
Yeah. Tiny magnets, says Diana Davis. Yeah, magnets have been tried in a lots of different lines, and they never quite work the way you want them to, unless they're Starcom, of course, right, Pat?
Right. Yeah, Starcom stuff works wonderfully. I do think magnets can be used. I think sometimes that's something that they need to work out a bit with the weight of the figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the weight of the thing, they need to make sure that they have a magnet that's going to be right. And then there's also some safety testing issues that sometimes happen with magnets that you don't want them inside the toy if they're going to happen to come out, because kids can swallow them.
Yeah, it has to be kind of like built in, doesn't it? Kind of inside and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that obviously causes what's the word? Kind of like friction, not friction issues, but like lack of power, because it kind of takes like it puts something in between the two magnets. And doesn't work. So it becomes less effective, basically.
Right.
I would also say kids can swallow poly, says Diana. That's a good point.
Probably true.
Yeah, but stick a magnet in there and it's twice as bad. And I will say, though, I don't have the same like negative response necessarily to Polly's peg leg. I think it's a kind of an interesting solution and kind of fits thematically, as S. Myers is saying as well. I'm stealing that because that's a good comment you've made there, S. Myers. But yes, I kind of agree with that too. In any case, really happy with how he's turned out, and I think he looks great as a figure in general. And I love the tattoos and the updated chevrons with, like, they wanted to make that more aquatic, they said, so they gave it like I think it was like an eagle and a trident or something like that have been thrown on there, which is pretty cool. And then we had rock and roll. Now I know this is a polarizing figure. It's like one of those ones where people are either super in love with it or they are the complete opposite with it. And I'm definitely somebody who saw this figure and was super in love with how they went about the deco changes and just the aesthetic of the guy. And I just love all of the different additions to the figure. I'm not sure you have the same thought process here, Pat, but take it away anyway.
This one's a miss. Yeah, I think that I love the way that the bullets are draping here. I like the detail that they did on the helmet. I like the face. I like a lot of it. But that's not the kind of rock and roll that rock and roll is into. Rock and roll is the surfer, and they've kind of erased that from the character and not quite infused him with that. He's more like that classic Beach Boys kind of rock and roll, not the thrash metal rock and roll. That's just not who he is.
I like
this is a miss.
What I like about what you're saying there is that level of character knowledge that is subtle, because on the surface you could definitely just go basic generic genre attachment. Do you know what I mean? Like, his name is rock and roll. Like, like it's like calling a character hip hop or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like calling a character country. Had to be careful of that. But like, I know exactly what you're saying there. The kind of the fact that his actual character was more the surfer, laid back type. He would have been into that kind of a specific type of music. And I totally agree with that. The thing I would also suggest, though, on that side is that I do like what they've done with this particular. I mean, it doesn't have to. The other thing is, it doesn't have to be exactly to the specs that we've known in the past. It doesn't always have to be that way. But I know that you sometimes don't feel the same way.
I think that I'm going to have to disagree. I think that if you're going to change things, it kind of needs to stay true to the character. Like if we are getting, they've gone so classic with so many of the looks of the characters, like stuck with the same look. I think that you can have a brand new look and still retain the original character.
I get that also, but do you not think that in some cases, if just because it's been done in the past, just because it's been said, just because it's had a storyline attached to it, whether it's good, bad, whatever, you think that should always be the case? Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, you can depart from that. This doesn't feel right to me. Like, I think that we kind of know the character. As little as rock and roll has been used, I think that we know the character, and I think that it's just, I don't know. I just think that there's something better about. That's why I think that I want to kind of delineate the word update.
Yeah,
this is not an update. This is something different.
It's got redesign.
It's a redesign. It really is. It's a redesign of who he is as
reimagining. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd also say though, Pat, as well, first rock and roll in the comics, as we know him in the file card, all that kind of good stuff, right? He developed a little bit weirdly in the comics as well. Like when he got to version 2, he was like thrash metal, like the guns he was using, the way he was acting.
Well,
in that one when he comes in and he's just like just wasting the place up, and he's kind of what he's saying.
He always had big guns.
Yeah, but that was like it was the way he was acting as a character is what I'm getting at. Is like he kind of almost they took him from that kind of like mild mannered beach kind of vibe, and he kind of went a slightly different direction when they version 2'd him.
He obviously had the guns ablazing, but I didn't think that meant that he didn't have the surfer calm ability to dial back into that. Once you get
I remember him being really frenzied in that particular storyline.
Well, I mean, it's not like people can't get angry. I'm just saying that this is not the kind of rock and roll. There's a lot of different subgenres of rock and roll, and this is not that rock and roll.
What do you want, Pat? A pair of flip-flops? Actually, that would be quite cool.
It just, and I even think it's a cool idea for a figure. You know, the whole like the hand with the mouth on it, but maybe put that on a dreadnought. It doesn't fit this character.
And this is what I'm saying. I think is that you've got this kind of like wild, almost like one direction or the other direction when it comes to this particular figure. This is definitely one that has that kind of you're in one camp or the other. There's not really there's not really many fence sitters on this one. But you know, it's all good. That's what this is for. And like not every figure is going to be a hit to each individual. So I'm totally understand where you're coming from 100%. Next is more images of rock and roll. Next is Scrap Iron. Now, I know you do have some issues with this particular scenario. I do not. So again, we're going to be on the complete opposite ends of the spectrum here, I believe. But yeah, I thought this was a proper scene stealer. I think there's huge amounts of positive reaction to this particular figure. And Pat, you're going to go in head first against that reaction, aren't you? Take it away.
Well, it's just the blast effects.
Is that it?
You know, what?
Is that it? Is it just the blast effects you have an issue with?
That's the only things that I have an issue with. Everything else I think looks awesome. It just maybe it's me not having my dollar stretched thin a little bit lately.
I would say you're not the only one who isn't into blast effects, definitely.
Okay. It feels like I'm the only one who's not into blast effects. And these ones I will say are new.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. I don't see a use for that very anime blast. And I think Lenny even called it an anime blast effect, but that's kind of how I was thinking, that it looked like a completely different style, like not how any blast effect would work. I want to see the people who do toy photography light these and not Photoshop them later, but actually light them to see how good they can look, to see if it makes any sense to have force going this direction, but also in a swirl at the same time. Doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah.
I just don't see a lot of use for these, even though they're new. And I know that they're costing a lot. They're taking up a lot of the package. I just don't want them.
I'm seeing a lot of comments here about that. I have to. Well, first of all, thank you, Ryan Sweeney, for the super chat. We really appreciate it. This is what we need to do from now on, Pat. You just need to be like aggressively against everything, and we just
I'm
get
not
all of
against
this
everything.
interaction.
I'm just. This is a nitpick, Pat. The rock and roll, I just don't think that's a win of a figure. But this is just me nitpicking because there is a lot to like here.
We'll get on to the good stuff then. Ryan, thank you so much for the super chat, mate. We really appreciate it. And that is a funny comment. I do not know who this Pat guy is anymore, lol. I think I got the wrong person. I think I've accidentally called the wrong guy.
Maybe I fixed my laptop but broke myself.
Someone clear Pat out. He's broken. No, no. I will say though, it's one of those things where you're either a blast effect person or this is another, you're in that camp or you're not. And if it's one of those things where you're not really a big fan of blast effects, then it's going to affect your enjoyment of buying this figure, especially when money is tight, which it is for pretty much everybody in the world.
I'm tired of the blast effects because I'm a Transformers collector.
Yeah.
And I don't immediately associate an orange explosion with a specific character. So once all these pieces just kind of become around my house, it's like, oh, here's a green explosion. Here's a purple but bigger explosion. What does this go to? And my mind can't place that with a character. It drives me crazy.
I'm loving these comments. We love Cantankerous Pat. The nanomites have taken over Pat. It's Mirror Universe, obviously. Yes, it is, Tristan. It's
not Shattered Glass Pat today. It's not.
Shattered Glass Pat is genius. Bizarro World is a good one as well.
Shattered Glass Pat doesn't worry about anything.
That's true.
Like normal world Pat's worried about everything all the time.
Bizarro World Tap. That's you switched. I like that, Jeremy. You've switched his name around like Tomax and Zaymot. Genius. Not Picard. That's my favorite one so far. Thank you, Ed. Brilliant. Anywho, yeah, scrap iron. There is a lot to love about this figure and this drone, though. My goodness, that drone is massive. For me, let's talk about the figure though, because the head sculpt, that's pretty wild, isn't it? Love that.
Yeah, but you know, this is a case where they remembered, hey, this is Scrap Iron, you know, has burns from his explosions that he's been playing around with.
Oh, Scrap Iron, playing around with explosions again. What is wrong with you? It's all those blast effects, that's why.
Sure. Yeah. I think it looks good. I'm glad that the helmet is removable. That original helmet on the original figure was so large, it felt like it should have been removable.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Christopher Moody says the drone is too small. Wow.
It would be bigger if they didn't include those blast effects. Like,
there you go.
No, I'm not exaggerating. There's a cost to those, and some of that can be reflected in the figure if they would just offset it.
Yeah.
I mean, people want to feel the value, obviously, when you open up the package and feel a bunch of accessories, but he could have come with some rifles or something.
Tristan has asked, have we ever seen Scrap Iron's face before? Yes, we saw it in the 25th, didn't we?
Yeah, the visor came off. We haven't seen his hair.
That's true. That's true. So yes. Anyway, yes, I don't know who you are anymore, Pat. Scrap Iron, the drone. Here's the shots of everything in play. Pretty impressive. This is what I love about blast effects, Pat. That Bazooka gets to bazooka his bazooka. Finally.
Yeah, that is true. That is pretty cool. Those ones fine. Include those, but the ones that look like, you know, it's
just farts on the ground.
Superman, and he's creating the
it's like
that scene where he's thrown the crystal and it's going to create the Fortress of Solitude because it's just like rising out of the ground all weird. Leave that alone. I don't need that.
You wait till the blue versions of those come out. It's going to be like everyone's favorite Superman accessory. That is genius. I like the one that looks like a fart. That looks like Sonic the Hedgehog has just been like pumping it and then just let out a fart and zipped off. That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
Anyway, these are definitely for use with the HISS tank as well. 100% B. Yeah, you just mentioned that too. So this is what they were talking about when they had future ideas for other blast effects coming with different figures and so on and so forth. Anyway, Right, female Valkyries, the 2-pack. Now we have the trooper and the officer. Pat, you're not a fan of these, are you?
Nope. It's, you know what it is? I don't like the base figure themselves. They look great.
Okay, right, few.
But you're going to need to buy a completely different set to equip them, because I think that all that yellow stuff just does not look good to me.
You're not a fan of the tan?
The tan stuff, yeah. That stuff just the rifle doesn't have enough details on it.
Okay.
Like, look at the way the holstered gun looks inside the holster. That is all one homogeneous color.
Yeah,
it does not look good. And this being a 2-pack, honestly, I think that I would have been better with it just being 2 of the exact same figure than having the one figure that I would like to have and the other one that I would not. I also really don't like that new officer helmet.
It's a little bit kind of spreads out a little bit, doesn't it?
It looks like it's the Darth Vader helmet that I was complaining about on the card art that comes with the Sky Striker.
Yeah. Pat is just upset at no O-ring news, says RKW. I'm just going to, sorry, all of these comments.
That's a good point. I am upset about that, but I'm not taking it out of the classified line. But this is a pack that I feel is a miss, because there's something actually not pictured in what you're looking at right here. And it's all the blast effects.
That was perfectly segue, doesn't it? Yeah, I know you hate blast effects. I think we get that now. But I will say that again, I don't share in your nitpickery.
But these are the same effects that we already have.
Oh no, not the blast effects. Yeah, no, I would suggest that we probably would have been better off having some new ones for this particular set. Yes,
like, I think that they've recolored them a little bit, but having 2 troopers standing next to each other with the same effect doesn't make sense. And one pack,
it's the same rifle, it might make sense.
With the same exact burst, that's the same width, the same shape. Like, having one gun do the same burst, the exact same burst, multiple times, it just doesn't look right to me.
Okay.
Yeah, and you get multiple ones in one pack, so you could just use it for multiple sets.
I think they would have been better off doing like an accessory set specifically with a figure, right? Like, so the figure is like the, what do you call it? The I don't know. The what am I trying to say is like the kind of the draw, but then you've got a ton of effectively multiple blast effects in one go, and that way you can focus the figures that there are other ones that are coming out in like just the accessories and things like that. I kind of get what you're saying in that.
I think that is the logic. They're putting the blast effects in with the troopers, so you can buy multiple packs, and then you have all these effects for all of your figures.
Pat is on one today, says Chaz. Again, like, blast effects aside, I do like the figures, and I'm like, I know that I would say that the officer helmet specifically, because the rest of them are fine, but the officer helmet does have that kind of like very odd like flair to it that probably wasn't necessary. You could probably just get away with the chevron, and that'd have been fine. I
feel like this pack is one really good figure and another figure that needs re-accessorized.
There you go.
And a bunch of pieces that are just going to go in a drawer somewhere.
I will agree with you on that. I think the tan accessories need more deco, though. I think that would have been great if they'd have thrown a few more deco hits on those on the tan accessories, because you're right, it just becomes like a block of color, and it works with black because black looks tactical anyway, and it's a little bit more hidden. But when it's that kind of like bright contrast on a dark figure, you kind of you want to kind of bust it up a little bit with some deco hits. So I totally agree with your points on that. But I certainly don't think that it like, to me, it doesn't, like, it's not enough of a thing that kind of makes me go, this is a fail. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's, for me, it's like I still think they're pretty dope figures.
I just look at the percentage of what's in the package, and I'm trying to rate that.
Have you had your coffee yet, Pat?
No, it's my morning Pepsi, is what happens. I've only had 2 hours of sleep, so maybe that is affecting me a little bit. But
that's actually a good point. I should have. We did say that at the beginning. I should have said before, guys. Trigger warning: Pat is going to be very angry today. Anyway,
and I've only picked on 2 figures so far.
I'm hoping
Rock and Roll in the 2-pack.
Pat, if you have any issues with what we're about to talk about next, I swear to you, I'm cutting this feed off because this is amazing to me. Again, I'm starting positive here. Snow Job. Wow.
You know that I like this figure.
Wow. This is great.
On.
This is like up there with Torpedo for me in excitement levels, right? I know that's not the same as everybody else. What I mean is, just give you an idea of how excited I am about this particular figure. That backpack is one of the single greatest classified accessories of all time done, isn't it?
Yeah, this one really, to me, shows off why they do need the scaled price points, why there are some of them, because it's not really fair to think that they're always going to be able to just pack in however many accessories a particular character needs without there being any kind of price difference from one figure to another.
Yeah.
They could do the old thing of shorting one character in order to give another character more, but that's not really the way that things sell. Due to the fact that things are selling by single characters more, and the fact that they that they'll bring back out a character, it's not that same approach where you can take a few deco hits off of Snake Eyes in 1982 to reduce the costs of things. I mean, this is more like it just kind of, we need that space now in order to make something like this happen.
Yeah, Jeremy's mentioned a good point here. That shot with the poles holding his rifle is the best. And one thing I want to mention about that, Jeremy, I was about to talk about this before you commented, but what I really like about this figure and having all of this equipment is just how creative you can get with it. And that is a perfect example of what you can do with this figure, with all of this gear. So ski poles, skis, snowshoes, rifle, modular with different parts on it, and all the other accessories, all carried on one figure. Obviously not with the alternate head and not with the alternate neck piece that is like the hood down, but obviously, for whatever display option you want, this dude is carrying it all. And that to me is the ultimate win for an action figure, and something they should aim for with every single action figure they ever do. It should always carry everything. And I'm blown away by it. Love these shots as well, showing all the different versions of him and what he could be doing and what the backpack and all the gear looks like. And it's just awesome. I love the alternate head with the hood down. I think that's pretty dope. And then we also got this shot of the head without the kind of the skull cap on it with the hood down. And that's phenomenal. And also, Pat, in the background, Arctic bats.
Yeah. Is that one with the chest plate off there on the left, behind his rifle?
Yeah, a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, it looks like we're going to get 2 different versions," and I think no, I believe it's just one has got the Cobra logo chest plate off, and that would be the internal workings that we just can't see very clearly.
Does it have something on its shoulder though?
In what the one that's behind his rifle?
Behind his rifle.
I don't think so. I think it's just the strap that comes down that's always there. You're talking about the black thing?
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know. But I don't. It's not necessarily. We're not necessarily looking at some sort of attachment, are we? It could be it could be something attached to his shoulder. But I don't think it's a different version of the figure.
I'm not able to quite visually make out the Python Crimson Guard.
Yeah, if you can't see that, then you're not going to work out what that is. But yeah, I'm very excited. What about you? I mean, for Snow Job, I mean, let's talk about Arctic bats quickly. Is that something you're even that fussed about?
I really liked the bat once I got it open.
Oh, good.
Again, the head sculpt on that is one of the perfect new head sculpts. I think that is probably the best bat sculpt to date.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious, are those the way that his legs are on the original figure?
Maybe they might be a little bulkier. Yeah, there might be
Yeah,
like
they
different
look like it might be a
Arctic legs.
different build. I actually haven't looked into this that much.
If they've done, yeah, it does look built. It does look bulkier, 100%. I wonder, like that would be great if they've done like a snow pants for them because they don't want them to get cold. Isn't that so adorable, Pat?
It's just, yeah, it looks like those are different legs.
What about arms?
It really does.
What about arms? Is it different
No,
arms?
I think the arms are the same.
Okay. At one point I thought it had like a silver snood on.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that it just has a different secondary that is like around the legs. The legs are the same, the waist is the same, the actual base figure is the same, but it looks like it actually has something else that it's wearing.
Enhance.
Yeah, enhance.
I kind of did that, Sean, already, but it didn't enhance it enough, clearly. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, Leon says I like the camo on the old Arctic bat. That was nice, wasn't it? Yeah, can't really see, but it probably isn't on this one, is it?
I'm guessing not.
Yeah. Oh, RKW saying could be a shoulder rank like the officer. Could you imagine them having battle android trooper officers? I mean, overkill. That's what we need.
Sure. Yeah, I would like an overkill. Maybe it works similar to like it's just like a boosting station for the control signal that controls the other bats.
Anyway, there's Snowjob's gear as well, kind of like shown off a little bit, as if he's just been snatched from the snow by a couple of Arctic bats. Very cool, very awesome. Loving Snowjob. It just looks, and I will say that I love the fact that the grey's more subtle than the render suggested. So there's like it gives off a nice vibe to the figure, not like, again, 100%, in my opinion, 100% better than the render, and the render was pretty good.
Yeah, this is definitely a win. There's so much packed in here, and I think that we shouldn't expect him to always look like he did in Pursuit of Cobra.
Yeah. I think I prefer the Angry Pat. Can we get Angry Pat back? Have a go at something.
No, I'm not going to go on record saying this is terrible and then have people make fun of me forever. I'm not going to do that. I won't feel bad about people disagreeing with me about rock and roll or
female Valkyries.
Yeah, because good base figure there, but no.
Okay, well, in that case, we'll move on to the packaging quickly because I just realized we have well overstepped our marks today. But yes, the packaging. This was not mentioned on the stream for some reason, and I'm surprised it wasn't. But it looks like they're going into a formulaic packaging construct, which will have a painterly figure render with background that homages things in the background, by the way, which is like, again, check out the thread, Plastic Battles on Twitter. Paul Panthalone did an amazing kind of deep dive into the different packaging covers and picked out all of the homages for each one. Obviously, Copperhead has got the temple behind him, which is in one of the cartoons. Torpedo has the horrible screeching blooming worms from the mass device in the background, and he's standing on a submarine as well, which is pretty dope. I do like that. It's a really good cover, that one. And also Shipwreck has got the bicycle in the background from the PSA that he's in, which is brilliant. And also those like nuclear warheads getting fired out from underwater, I guess from a submarine, which is pretty cool. Again, kind of ties him and Torpedo together a little bit there. And Rock and Roll has got the kind of the space shuttle in the background from I can't remember which episode it was, but I don't think it's not the Defiant shuttle, is it? It's just a standard shuttle, right?
I think so.
Yeah, from the cartoon, and I forget what episode it's from. But again, really cool little options there. What are your thoughts, first and foremost, Pat, about the change of packaging style?
I've still never been a fan of the disjointed package art that Classified has had since the beginning.
Right.
I know some people are a fan of that, and I did eventually warm up to the idea because it felt a little bit like
special
popularity. Well, like also the popularity of different comic book covers, inviting in the opportunity to do things differently.
Yeah.
But it sometimes felt like the figures that I was excited about the most were not the ones that had the art that I liked the most.
Right.
sometimes that didn't quite match up.
Yeah.
And so it may be okay with me to just kind of give the brand a little more cohesion by having the figures represent themselves on the covers. And at least it's not like that I've seen on some of the Marvel stuff where it's literally just the figure standing there. And sometimes just the figure standing there on the Marvel stuff with some of the pinned joints painted over so they look like they're not pinned, and then you get them out of the package and it doesn't look quite as good. This is definitely like it's the figure, but in a more fantastical way, so that I think that you can kind of gauge your expectation of the toy. I'm not expecting the toy to look exactly like this, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's interesting that obviously we knew that Bazooka's been. What's interesting with Bazooka is that he has been in the line up, like the kind of like the figure lineup for so long, and it just took this long to get him into a wave. Like later on, after changing things and moving figures around and all that kind of stuff. So he still retains his old school artwork, which I think is quite funny. So as a 5-figure wave, there's a little bit of a disjointed thing right from the off. Someone did mention, I think it was RKW said that the new box looks taller than the old. I think that's just from the angle they've taken the shot, because if you look at the Bazooka shot, you can see an element at the top of the box. I think it's just the way that it's angled. They didn't have one that was exactly the same as the other images and the right way up. So it probably will be the same size and the same shape. It's just,
so?
I believe it is the case. Yeah, like if you were to angle the Bazooka box, I think it changes the shape and the.
It just looks like the flap is so much bigger. You could be right.
No, but that's what I'm getting at. They're coming at it from an under angle on the other classified boxes.
I'd actually be cool with it being smaller, personally.
Yeah.
If it is. But I think you're right. I think it probably is the angle. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. If you were to follow
30, whatever it is on there, right?
Yeah. If you were to follow the same visual angle with the other boxes, I'm sure they would do the same thing as Bazooka's doing right there. But again, it doesn't quite line up, so they've cut it to as close as they can. So that's that. Then so again, I kind of like what these new boxes. I like the formulaic kind of aspect of it. You still get artwork in there, but we don't know who it is yet. That's the other thing. That's a really interesting aspect. They haven't mentioned who that is, so maybe it's in-house. And that's one of those things they don't usually give out in terms of information, do they? Like as a thing.
Right.
We also have obviously Scrap Iron, which has the school bus from Arise Serpentor Arise in the background, which is fantastic. The one that the doors open and then it folds in half kind of thing. I find that really cute. And then that zipping out. The other thing we didn't mention, it's got the Mars logo on the drone. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I always love the connection with Scrap Iron and Destro on the file card of Scrap Iron. Going back that far, I liked to imagine that he was just truly working for Destro within Cobra.
Definitely. And yeah, he was in the file card. It says he was a weapons developer, doesn't it, for Mars?
For Mars, yeah.
Yeah, so that is pretty cool. A lovely little touch there as well, and the artwork again, pretty dope. And then we have the Valkyries. Now, the cute thing about the Valkyries card or box is Junkyard in the background. We know Mutt and Junkyard are coming, and from this specific episode that they're kind of homaging from the cartoon, it's when Junkyard has the kind of the mind control done on him when he's got the green eyes. So that's also a lovely little touch as well. And again, pretty cool box. And again, the artwork looks good and the renders look really good in that kind of painterly style. I kind of like the fact they've done, like in some cases, like in Marvel, you've got like a very basic just render with nothing really going on.
Yeah. With
this, I like the fact that they've kind of like blurred the lines of action figure and artwork a little bit. I like that there's like it's not clear what you're really looking at, but it is obviously the figure. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and at the same time, they're making sure that people have the correct expectation, because right there on the front of the package, it's showing all the accessories that are included.
Oh yeah, that's something I completely forgot as well. Yeah, you got that strip of accessories on show as well, haven't you? Yeah, totally.
I think I still prefer just an open package personally. so I can look at the toys. I saw some Power Rangers yesterday, and I wasn't sure what I was looking at.
Yeah.
So I still am not sure. I'm not going to be. Well, I guess I am a broken record. I don't want to. I'm not trying to complain. If I'm in a complaining mood today, how can I not complain about the closed packages?
If you're playing Pat complaining bingo, you've just completed it. That's brilliant. We need that. We need a bingo card with that on it. Also, we have Snow Job as well, and this one's got the polar bear in the background from, again, I forget the episode. But anyway, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That's the homage on that one. He's right there in the top left, the polar bear on the edge. And also, there's a vehicle in there too, and I can't remember what it is. I don't think I even checked that. Do we know that vehicle is, Pat? It's not a snowcat, is it?
You know what? I don't remember even looking at it.
Maybe people will tell us in the chat, or they don't know either. Maybe. Anyway. Let us know in the chat. We're going to move on because obviously still stuff to talk about this week. Oh my God, let's try and get it done quick. Next up then, we have leaked exclusives news. If you thought we'd been spoiled enough with the reveals from the awesome Hasbro G.I. Joe fan stream, then think again. Yes, the Angry Collectors on Instagram leaked 2 possible G.I. Joe exclusives for this year: SDCC exclusive Chuckles with Armory, and a PulseCon exclusive Crimson 3-pack featuring the Baroness and the twins, Tomax and Zaymot. Chuckles was a name only revealed back during the 1027 special live event from last year, so it does track that he could find his way into an exclusive like this. My only confusion is with the Armory. He doesn't quite feel like a character that would be associated with that per se, but I'm sure that will make sense as we get closer to an official reveal. I would hope he gets a ton of cool spy accessories like a briefcase and so on. As for the Baroness and the twins, this makes sense as a redeco for all involved, and of course has precedent in both O-ring and modern 4-inch form. There is also a possibility they do something different with the Baroness, but I would expect to see the same figure just in crimson, honestly. Expect blast effects as well, and hopefully new ones now that we've seen the same Viper 3-pack set reused 3 times, counting the Steel Core and Cobra Valkyrie 2-packs. Of course, this is all still at a rumour level, so you can't take it as gospel just yet, but I can see both of these happening due to the ease with the redecos and for the fun that Chuckles would bring to SDCC. Yeah, so this is an interesting one. Also, it's a snowmobile, says Christopher Moody. So before we went into the video, I was like, what vehicle is that? Yeah, it's the snowmobile, apparently, on the Snow Job artwork, which is awesome. Now, possible classified exclusives leaked. These listings are kind of out there a little bit now. So we don't know the details, but we do know that there is some truth to this. So SDCC exclusive Chuckles. Don't really understand what the Armory aspect is on that one, Pat. Let's start with that one first. SDCC, well, obviously SDCC sounds like a great place to have a Chuckles figure. Obviously he's going to be deluxe. What do you think Armory means in terms of his accessories?
I have 2 different thoughts. One of them, it could just be that he comes with a missile from the Havoc, and it's an excuse. You know, he'll just have a few missiles, so it says Armory, and maybe it's.
I want that to be the case so bad.
I think it could be. It could be. I'm not, because there was like the ammo dump.
Yeah.
So it could be Chuckles with the ammo dump.
Oh,
they just call it the Armory, and then it would come with just that missile, and it would kind of make sense for him to be throwing missiles.
Yeah, it
wouldn't make sense for him to be throwing missiles, but it would make sense as a set.
Oh my God, you're
right.
Actually,
he could have that pose. As long as he could achieve that pose as a figure, that's how people would put him on their shelf.
That is genius. And I think, like sorry, I'm just thinking about him running with the missile, that is interesting. I love the thought of the ammo dump being something that he comes with, actually, because that is genius. And also, what a great way to do something that is beloved, oddly, in the line. I remember that was a feature, a heavy feature throughout the entire years of me as a child. I used to love that little crate It was so good for like dio building and stuff like that. Yeah, just top notch. So yeah, I have to agree on that one. Because yeah, he's not really known for coming with a lot of accessories ever, is he? Like Chuckles is always like a pistol. Good luck.
Yeah, so if you're going to try to create like a set that would decorate the rest of the shelf, he'd be a good one to include because you wouldn't actually need to give him a lot of accessories. So yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, I'm really into this one. I do kind of want him to have spy kind of stuff, like a briefcase and silly stuff like that. Like I kind of want spy accessories.
That's the other way my mind was going on armory is could it be something similar to like that Fortnite set? I think it was the one that came with a spy banana, the spy peely,
like the James Bond
turned around and then you put a bunch of things on it.
Oh mate,
I mean, it could be something like that where it would be like a secret wall with a bunch of weapons behind it.
I am so excited now at what this could be. Unfortunately, you've given me like expectations now, and that's always a bad thing.
Maybe it'll just be a secret wall, and behind it, nothing but Havoc missiles.
just one Havoc missile, empty wall.
He has different ones for different missions.
That's so funny. And oh my god, yes. Okay, I'm down for that. The next one, obviously, is the PulseCon exclusive Crimson 3-pack with the Baroness, Tomax, and Xamot. This is one of those things that just makes sense to me, and it's one of those things that it's too obvious not to be real. So yeah, and again, like I said, there is an element of a truth behind these because listings have appeared. So what are your thoughts there, Pat, on the 3-pack of those?
The 2002 set, the convention set, was so popular because it made so much sense to put Tomax and Xamot in Crimson.
Yeah.
And at this point, if you're going to make a figure, we have to think in our heads what the potential repaint is going to be of that. It just seems weird anymore to make tolling and to not use it at least twice.
Of course, yeah.
So the next option for Tomax and Xamot past the blue one is the red one. So yeah, this makes sense. And if they're going to do Tomax and Xamot, why not make it a 3-pack and just put in the Baroness? It does make me wonder though where those Crimson Vipers are going to be if we're ever going to get those.
I would imagine Crimson Vipers are somewhere in that line plan, definitely, because that's the thing, isn't it? Like that would complete it all in a sense, wouldn't it? You'd almost have your strike team basically, wouldn't you?
I think Crimson can be overdone. It's one of those things where if it's supposed to be elite, maybe every single Cobra shouldn't have a Crimson version.
Yeah,
but I don't think there's really a danger to releasing these at all. That is like, just a few characters that kind of belong.
It's the hierarchy as well, isn't it? Yeah,
it is. Yeah, and then doing the Vipers just because it's been done before in such a grand way, I think would still make sense. So then you'd have your Crimson Guards, your Bats, and then of course I'd like the old Crimson Guard Immortal eventually too.
Oh, definitely. I will say that obviously I'd like to see them do some different things with the Baroness because it's been a while and we've had that Baroness twice now.
Okay, yeah. Good.
So, but like we'll see, I guess, if there's any changes done at all. It's more than likely just going to be repaints of those 3 figures, and that is also acceptable. I'm totally cool with that. So yeah, go for it. And I'm not going to mention what I said in the video out loud because it'll just get you angry again, and we'll
yeah, no, I thought, oh, maybe I'm not way off here. It's, he actually has included that in the video.
Yep, blast effects. That's going to be the new. We're going to have to like censor that from now on, I think. Anyway, that is the possible exclusive classified leaked listings. And I must say I'm very excited for both of them. But then again, I'm excited for everything. Like every time I see something, I'm excited for it. So bring it on. Anyway, lastly, we have even more exclusive news. And this one is a bit of an exclusive from us. So I hope you're ready. That's right, we have it under good authority that we will be getting 2 brand new G.I. Joe classified pre-orders this coming March the 16th for the Walmart Collector-Con. We can't say who they are, but we do know that it will bring in the new exclusive theme that was discussed quite a while ago when the retro line was brought to a close with Snake Eyes and the Crimson Guard reveals. It will make March the new June at this rate, especially when you consider the fact that Target will want to reveal their new exclusives very soon, and hopefully hot on the heels of the latest tease that saw the Python Crimson Guard make an appearance during Bazooka's close-up on Wednesday's fan stream. In any case, you may want to get ready for another pre-order frenzy when the event starts at 10 AM EST. Yeah, so interesting here is that we are aware that there are going to be 2 brand new G.I. Joe classified exclusives for Walmart going up on the 16th of March. We also know what they are, but we can't say. Now, I think Pat doesn't know, but only because he forgot.
It's the cryptic way in which information is delivered. It's like, we're going to be getting Twain. I don't know what these things mean. Like, it's not... It almost feels like dangerous information to pile on to all the other G.I. Joe stuff that there is to remember.
It is.
Do I need to know that Jupiter's going to come out?
Do you remember Jupiter? Do you remember Carpenter Ant and all those?
I do, and I don't need to remember that. That's information that can just go. Not useful anymore.
So we can't obviously say what they're going to be, but it will bring in the new theme that Walmart will be taking over. Now, we discussed this ages ago on a roundtable with Lenny and Emily, and we said to them, it's not Arctic Bats, RKW. I can at least say that much, okay? Now, way back on in the roundtable, we spoke to them about what Walmart were going to be doing with the retro bubble carded scenario, because obviously at the time, the hot topic was they were getting rid of plastic and we weren't going to have bubbles on cards, etc., etc. Dung Beetle. There's another one for you, Pat. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And so in that interview, I asked the question, will that be continuing, or are you going the complete opposite direction? Is it going to be something different? And they said, well, actually, Walmart are going to be getting a different theme going forward after the retro classified has come to an end with the last 2 figures, which at that time hadn't been revealed, but that was Snake Eyes and the Crimson Guard. We had actually known for a while that it was going to be Snake Eyes and the Major Blood, but for some reason, Major Blood was switched out. Obviously, this is a long time ago now, so it doesn't really make any difference. And then it turned out as well that Cobra Commander is technically going to be the last retro figure, or the last that we know of, because they also said that they may do retro-inspired releases in the future. So I know it's a lot of information to kind of work out here, and it's a little bit, none of it's really straightforward, and it's all a bit it always fluctuates a lot. But we do know that this new theme is going to be hitting Walmart. And now this is something I'm excited about, because it kind of gives them a similar thing to what Target have been doing with Tiger Force and Python Patrol and Cobra Island. This kind of specific mission-based thing. Is that something that you're excited about, Pat? Or did you want to see them kind of explore the retro a little bit more?
I am pretty done with the retro. The actual cards themselves were not that great. I didn't care for the art. Here I am being negative again. It just the painted in joints didn't look right to me.
Oh my god, the articulation!
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
The shape of the bubble didn't feel that retro like to me. I liked the stands. I think that it would be great if they did a Hasbro Pulse exclusive set of stands, so that people who are fans could get official G.I. Joe and Cobra stands.
Yeah,
I think that would be great. But yeah, there's something. I guess my mind is always also comparing it to Star Wars, where Star Wars gets that archive edition, which is just minor updates to figures that have sold well previously. And that's not really what the retro stuff was doing. But it also wasn't that big of a leap sometimes from the original character. Like Gung Ho is great. It was brand new, but Destro,
Yeah.
There were just some of them that kind of felt like I would rather have another avenue for more unique characters and new stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, somebody's asking in there, are these going to be numbered? I can't say because I don't know. So I will just guess that, from what we know, them moving on from retro, I would say yes, right?
That actually is a good question, and I don't think I do know that answer actually, Pat. But if it's
the
anything, if
Target
they're
stuff
doing
is numbered,
if they're doing
stuff is numbered, the Walmart stuff can be.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think if they're doing because obviously Target have numbered figures, I would imagine it would be the same thing going forward because it is like a theme in the same. It's a theme in the same environment, shall we say, as what Target do. So yeah, like I would imagine it would be the similar kind of rollout and the similar kind of aspect, definitely. Yeah, God, this is one of those things where it's so hard not to say all of the things we can't say, isn't it? Have you ever feel that way doing these?
I am feeling that way because I'm not that dumb.
Should we?
I totally forget everything you've told me.
Should we move on before we make some absolute hideous error? I will say that I'm not going to give any clues away because it's too obvious. But I will say that Leon, it is not, unfortunately, Dino Hunters. That actually, if it was Dino Hunters, I'd have just leaked that information months ago, genuinely.
Toy Kind of Mood made a comment that I really liked about Walgreens. We need some Walgreens exclusives.
Yeah, didn't that? Someone also mentioned that Dan Yoon has said, Jeremy says, per Dan Yoon, Hasbro is no longer partnered with Walgreens for exclusives going forward. Were you aware of that? Yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
No, I wasn't aware of that either. They must have finished that out because they so far with Transformers they had been doing like a medical rescue character, which really fit Walgreens, and then they have the one.
That's great, actually. That's a great idea.
It is, yeah. So, and I think that's what Toy Kind of Mood was kind of referring to.
That's yeah, definitely. Could you imagine Walgreens Lifeline exclusive?
Yeah, I think that's what he said.
Oh, is that what you said? That would be insane. Sorry, I missed that completely. I'm gonna just take that as my own idea and pretend I didn't see it in the comments.
I think he said Doc and Lifeline.
Yeah, Doc would be a good one as well, definitely. But yeah, Stretcher Walgreens exclusive all over it. Anyway, yeah. So expect that, guys. March 16th, 10 a.m. Eastern. And yeah, keep an eye on any reveals. It's going to be exciting. It's like I said, 2 figures to look out for, and that's all we're giving you at this point. If any information comes out before then we'll report on it, obviously. But for now, that's all we're getting. Anyway, that is it for the news this week. My goodness, only 2 hours worth. Let's just get into shout outs before my butt goes to sleep.
Have you tried Hoarder yet? No? Well, you need to. If you have a collection of things and want to create a fun and easy way of organising it and of course showing it off, then get involved. You can post items and build collections, and you can drop a status like getting a fun delivery or seeing some awesome related stuff on your travels. Build your collections with Hoarder. The app is free to download on Google Play and the App Store, so what are you waiting for? Get to hoarding.
Rapid fire shout outs, and I don't mean rapid fire the character, but rapid fire shout outs, Pat.
Shout out
Super Trooper repaint, go.
Shout out to Philip. If you haven't watched my latest episode of Articulated Points, it's on Sergeant Savage. That's why I'm wearing the shirt again today. I didn't get to say that last time because I was cut off by my stupid computer.
Oh yeah, go check out Pat's Sergeant Savage video. It's brilliant and goes on for ages with deep knowledge. You'll love it.
It's way too long. I apologize for that.
I wasted no, I'm kidding, not at all. It's brilliant. Go check it out, guys. It's awesome. And in fact, all of the Articulated Points YouTube channel videos, go check them all out. Thank you, Peppermint Oil Capsule, for your super chat. Very appreciated. 8:30 EST, unique items to win at Sergeant Slaughter Slaughterhouse. Join up. Do it. Go check them out on YouTube. They are the best. Now I want rapid fire, says Leon. Yep. I just want Super Trooper, please. I don't care how ridiculous people think he is. Super Trooper is dope. Yeah. This is a good one. Okay, this is even Pat's computer is sick of his nitpicking.
My computer's thanking me today. I went through the effort and now it's fine.
He cleaned everything out. Anyway, massive shout out to the family, UK, US, to Kate and Phoebes. to all the fam. And also, my dad's birthday is on Monday, so wish me dad a happy birthday. Love you very much, Dad. I think something's on its way to you. Yes, it is. You should have something arrive on Monday for your birthday. Just a little something, something. You know how that's usually what happens on birthdays. You send people things. And also, shout out to Mom, who was watching earlier. She may have gone 2 hours. Are you kidding me? Get lost. So
she heard all my complaining and got sad.
She's removed her love hearts. Love you guys very much. And also big shout out to the US fam as well. And to Kent, who is getting over his incredible surgery that he had recently. Love you very much, father-in-law. And speedy recovery, shall we say. He's doing well at the moment as well. For anyone that's interested, he's doing really well. He was up walking the next day after back surgery. Incredible. And it's ridiculous. I'm not going to go into all the details because we'd all, I've already taken too long doing this. Anyway, shout out to the fams. Love you all very much. Moving on. Brian Sauer, for all of our wonderful graphics. Massive shout out to you, Brian. Thank you very much for all that you do for us and the channel. And again, I've got more work for him as well coming up soon. So he'll love to hear that. And also, this popped up recently in the news that we've added because it's Action Force related in the Kraken Palatoy era, and that is Super Joe Unlimited's kind of concept boards that they were kind of sharing in the week, and this is for like a variant of Gorgon on their kind of like line plan, which looks awesome. So very, very interesting that one. Pat, what do you think about that?
It's interesting. I'm going to be watching this closely. It's an O-ring line, and there's a lot of interesting details here, and I'm curious. I think it's neat to kind of tie Kraken in with Gore and the Terrans. So I'm just curious what else they have.
Absolutely. Oh wow. Ed, thank you so much for another super chat. Again, lots of super chats today. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the extra large live, guys. Rock and roll was brainwashed in Marvel 97 when he went thrash metal. It makes sense in continuity. Now you know. You just wanted to say that, didn't you? You just wanted us to read it out. It's so Pat could have it rubbed in his face. No, thank you very much, Ed. I really appreciate that, buddy. That's great. Right, and that brings us to the end of this ridiculous episode that's nearly 2 hours long.
I guess if you get tattoos while you're brainwashed, they're not going to wash off.
Exactly. Yeah, they're not. I was trying to find a pun in there, but there wasn't really one, was there? So I'll just leave it. Pat, thank you so much for today. Thank you to all. Well, let me do the correct structure. Thank you to all the commenters, to our listeners, viewers, our patrons, to all of you guys for all of the super chats, for all of the regular chats. We really, really appreciate all of the support. It's been a long one today, but I hope you've all enjoyed it. For those that are watching after the fact, I hope you've enjoyed the episode as well. Not necessarily live, but, in regular, whenever you could watch it. Thank you for all of that. Pat, thank you for being on, mate, and having, yes, there was some negative aspects to your...
Only two figures. Only two figures, really, that I complained about.
I thought that was the funniest episode we've done in ages. So more of that next time, please. It makes sense to have differing opinions on things.
No, it doesn't.
It's more... That took me by surprise. Why did you do that to me? Oh.
You're trying to sign off, and I'm making this go to a full 2 hours, apparently, by the timer. We're at 1:58.
Trying to get it to 2, exactly. And I know that we've got, how long is the video for the outro? The video for the outro is 52 seconds.
All right.
So I'm just going to... It's going to sit here and do nothing. If you're enjoying the content, guys, at the moment, yeah? Anything else we can talk about before we go, Pat?
No, I think we already have enough time. We have to do, the normal thing that we shout. Come on, we know.
I don't know what that is.
You don't know what it is?
Oh yeah, after 3, 1, 2, 3, full force. And I'm waiting for people to say full force as well. It's going to be over 2 hours at this point.
It's over
Sorry,
2 hours. Yeah.
So that'll do. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.